was a death that didn't just shock the world, it literally brought the internet to its knees. But the real story of what happened to the King of Pop? Well, it's so much more than a headline. It's a story of desperation, of greed, and of a deal that was fatal from the start.
We were listening to Thriller and we got triggered. Welcome to The Explainer by SenseTalking.
So when the news broke on June 25th, 2009, everything just stopped. The world stood still. But behind all the chaos in the headlines is this tangled web of two very desperate men. So let's get into it. What really happened to Michael Jackson?
Okay, so our story actually starts not with Michael, but with this guy, Dr. Conrad Murray. He was a 56-year-old cardiologist living in Las Vegas, and let's just say his lifestyle was way bigger than his bank account. And his personal life? Oh, it was complicated.
On the surface, he looked like a family man. He had 7 children. But that number, 7, it doesn't even begin to tell the real story, which was a story of financial chaos that was just completely spiraling out of control.
Because you see, those 7 kids were with 6 different women. Dr. Murray was known for loving gentlemen's clubs, making a big show of spending money, but behind the scenes he was falling way, way behind on his responsibilities.
In fact, he was drowning. We're talking over $700,000 in debt from court judgments, mostly for child support he hadn't paid. Plus, he was behind on his Vegas mansion, credit cards, you name it. This man needed a huge amount of cash, and he needed it yesterday.
All right, so now let's switch over to the other side of this story. Because in 2009, Michael Jackson was, still arguably the most famous person on the entire planet. But the King of Pop was also facing a massive crisis of his own.
He was reportedly $500 million in debt. That's a staggering number. Years of legal fights, bad management, and an incredibly lavish lifestyle had finally caught up to him. He needed a financial miracle.
And what was his solution? This is it. A huge 50-show comeback tour in London. The tickets sold out in just hours. His entire legacy, his financial future, everything was riding on this. The pressure was absolutely immense.
But there was this one giant problem. At 50 years old, not in great health, the stress was causing this horrible, crippling insomnia. He just could not sleep. And if you can't sleep, you can't perform. He needed a doctor's help, but what he wanted was not just any solution.
And this right here is where our two stories collide. You've got a doctor who is desperate for money and a pop star who is desperate for sleep. And their mutual needs? They're about to lead to a deal that would shatter every rule in the medical book.
It was just a perfect storm of desperation, wasn't it? Dr. Murray saw a financial lifeline, a way to instantly solve all of his money problems. And Michael Jackson, he saw a way to get the one thing he thought he needed to pull off the greatest comeback ever: sleep, even if it wasn't real sleep. So Michael offered Dr. Murray a salary of $150,000 a month. For a guy drowning in over $700K of debt, this wasn't just a golden ticket. It was the whole lottery. It was also a massive, massive incentive to just throw his professional and ethical judgment right out the window.
And this is what Michael wanted: propofol. Let's be perfectly clear here. This stuff is not a sleeping pill. It is a powerful general anesthetic, the kind they use to knock you out completely from major surgery. Using it in a bedroom, it's like trying to land a jumbo jet in your driveway. A disaster isn't just a risk, it's practically a guarantee.
So Dr. Murray starts this nightly routine of giving Michael propofol through an IV drip. For almost 2 months, this incredibly dangerous practice just continued, night after night, until one night everything went horribly, horribly wrong.
What's just truly mind-boggling is the complete lack of even the most basic medical safety. We're talking no heart monitor, no emergency life-saving equipment. And this is the most critical part: no constant supervision. He was just leaving him there. So on the morning of June 25th, after already giving Michael a cocktail of other drugs, Murray gives him the propofol. And then he makes the single worst mistake imaginable: he leaves Michael alone. When he finally comes back, he finds his patient is not breathing. But what does he do? Instead of immediately calling 911, his first instinct is to cover his own tracks, telling a bodyguard to help him hide the drug vials. The level of deception here is just staggering. While Michael is lying there unattended and very likely already dying, Dr. Murray is on his computer. He sees an email from the tour's insurance company asking about Michael's health. And his reply? Get this. That's ridiculous. Michael's in perfect health.
So this is the crucial point, the delay. After finding Michael not breathing, Dr. Murray waited. Estimates put that delay in calling 911 somewhere between 25 and 83 minutes. In a situation like that, every single second counts. This delay, it was a death sentence.
Michael was rushed to the hospital, but it was far, far too late. The biggest star in the world was gone, and the search for answers and for justice was really just beginning.
The global reaction was something no one had ever seen before. So many people were searching for news that Google, Wikipedia, and Twitter all just broke. They crashed. Google engineers actually thought they were under some massive cyber attack. That's just how big this was. Pretty soon, all that shock turned into suspicion. The medical examiners found a lethal amount of propofol in Michael's system, and they officially ruled his death a homicide. And suddenly, all eyes turned to the last person to see him alive, Dr. Conrad Murray. Dr. Murray was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. Throughout his trial, he never admitted any fault, took zero responsibility for what he did. In the end, he was found guilty and sentenced to 4 years in prison. He ended up serving just 2. Which really leaves us with this one final lingering question. For the death of a global icon, a death caused by what prosecutors called extreme medical negligence, was a 4-year sentence with only 2 years actually served. Was that really justice for the King of Pop?